What's up, guys? Today we're going to take a look at gearing, dailies, and farming at 65. So let's get started. The first thing you'll notice when you hit 65 is you gain this buff down here on your bar called devotion. Now the way this works is each time you spend a rest point, it'll go up 1 bar, up to a maximum of 130. And you can see at certain intervals you gain a buff. Now this buff is actually account wide and it can be gained across all characters no matter what level. You just need to be 65 to unlock this. So you could go create a level 1 character, spend 130 rest points on it, and you'll have the level 5 buff across all your characters. This is a nice little free, essentially, combat rating boost. So if you're having trouble on a dungeon or something for the day, maybe go play an alt, get your buff up a little bit, and then come back and try again. So the next thing we're going to take a look at are titles and emblems. Now, some titles actually provide stat bonuses baseline, defensive ones, offensive ones, all sorts of ones. So finding one that's right for you is a good start. Now, there's one extra little thing here you can see on the right. These are title sets. The way these work are, if there's stats over here on the right, once you've completed every title in the category, you'll unlock these extra stats. So you can see these are green here, but if I go down to here, these are grayed out because I have not completed all the titles in this set. It's a nice little way to just go knock out the last couple titles you need. So I could get one here, get a few here, get one here, and each of those will provide me with a nice little extra set of stats. Alright, the next thing we want to take a look at is costumes and badges. Now, I made another video going over how these work, so make sure you check that out. I'll put it in the description down below. But basically, costumes will give you a nice little stat boost, along with badges. Just real quick, the best badges you want to put these in are your face, your head, your gloves, and let's see, what is this? This slot. Basically, the reason you do that is because this gives attack speed, this gives crit, and this gives crit damage. And then your next badge you can put wherever. This is accuracy, so this is the only other like DPS option left. This is bonus damage against elites. There's not too many elites. Some defensive options and in-town move speed. So if you've got some extra badges lying around, make sure you put them in here for a little bit of stats. But like I said, if you're not sure how stats with the badges and the costumes work, check out my other video and you can find that out. So on to the good stuff, right? You want some gear. All right, the first thing you probably might or might not have noticed are these 2 slots down here. Now, while leveling, you'll receive a power core at about level 60, and the artifact comes close to 65, and you can't use them until those levels. The problem is, it's not really clear when you receive these, and you can accidentally salvage them, so you might not have any on you, so you'll have to get them. The way you get artifacts is from doing the arena daily, which I'll talk about in a bit. They can drop from there, and power cores come from cracked power core fragments off of the material collection agent. You just need random ones. Power cores, you simply just, when you get it, you right click it to charge it, it goes to max, and then certain skills expend a certain number of charges from it, and then once it's depleted, you cannot recharge it, you have to get a brand new one. Artifacts are just a simple stat boost that can also be enhanced, but once you get them to a certain enhanced level, they can break if you keep going, but you'll get a warning message when you get it high enough, so you'll know. Alright, the next thing is accessories. Now, while leveling, you might have received some quests, such as these ones here. These insane dungeon quests that require you to be in a party of 4 to get completion bonus. The rewards from these are pretty dang good. For example, there's the Abyssal Ring here. Has like great stats, and on top of that, when you go down to the enhancing bonuses, you can see if you get it to 13, it's an extra 700 attack just for the 13. At 9 is 100, and 11 is 50, and they all stack too. So while leveling, you can do these quests in a party of 4 on Insane and get these great accessories. Even lower level ones are awesome at 65. So if you haven't done the quest, or if you have done the quest, you might have some of these already. If not, go back and do them. I strongly encourage it. Even the level 61 is great. Even the level 55 one will certainly hold you over at 65. And you can have a full set of 3 legendary accessories. So this is a great start to get going on your accessories. Next, let's take a look at armor. We're here at the weapon merchant in Xanadu. Now there's also a weapon merchant in Kesku Outpost that has the same exact things. So let's take a look at what he's got. He has level 60 purple quality gear. Now he has weapons, accessories, and armor. So you could get fully decked out in purple 60 gear. Now, the character I'm on right now is my Doomblade, and I just leveled it right to 65. It was on another account, so I had no devotion assistance or elite or anything. And you can see he came at about 11k point and a half combat rating or so. Minus a couple things, but I got a 50 legendary sword while leveling. Well, I guess it's a little lucky, but it's not that big of a deal. We'll get to the weapon in a second. But you can see most of my gear is just level 65 green and blue gear. So even though this is purple 60 gear, the purple quality makes it better than the 65 gear for a couple of reasons. Purple gear, as you can see, can roll 4 appraised stats, while blue only roll 3 and green roll 2. So not only is it giving you an extra appraised stat, the value of those appraised stats can roll even higher on a higher quality piece. So say a blue piece could roll 5 LE bonus, a purple piece would be able to roll, say, 7 LE bonus or something like that. So the quality really matters, and this is just a great set of solid starter gear. Boots, chest, legs, gloves, head. So you can get all your armor right here. Now, the other things are the accessories, but we already covered those, so we have some legendary accessories that are pretty good. But just in case, you might have received a necklace at level 60 if you chose it from the quest that petrifies you whenever you're attacking. This earring right here will negate the petrification effect on yourself, but will still allow you to petrify the enemy. So this is just a quick little tidbit that people might have been getting frustrated with. Why am I getting petrified? What's going on here, If you wear the necklace with this earring, it'll actually prevent you from getting petrified, and you can still petrify the enemy. So this is a great little combo, because it works on bosses too. Bosses that can't be staggered can still be petrified. So it's pretty cool. There's weapons here as well. These are great little weapons to grab. We're going to get to the weapons in a sec, though. But, so the way you purchase these is with boss souls. Now, this gear specifically requires mega boss souls. There's 3 tiers of boss souls. There's just boss soul, which is gray, mega boss soul, which is green, as you can see, and then we have red mega boss souls. Now, the way you earn these is boss souls are earned just from completing dungeons up to level 60. Mega boss souls are earned from completing dungeons above level 60. Red mega boss souls come from completing any level dungeon on insane difficulty. So the way you can kind of trade these, we'll go over here to the material collection agent. And here, as I mentioned before, is the power core chest where you can turn in your cracked power cores and roll some new power cores. Is right here. We have mega boss souls, mega boss soul chest, boss soul chest, and this allows you to kind of exchange boss souls and red mega boss souls for some lower tier boss souls. So you could trade up your boss souls to mega boss souls, or trade down your red megas to regular mega or just boss soul chest. So you should have a good little bit of these while leveling. Not enough to buy an entire set of gear, but if you've done some insanes, you can see you get 3 mega boss souls per red mega boss soul, and if you farm like the level 65 dungeon, which we'll talk about in a bit, you get 4 red megas at the end of a dungeon. So this is 12 regular mega boss souls just from that. So let's get to the juicy part. You guys want to get that nice weapon, right? Let's head on over to the Deep Rock and take a look. We're over here at the blacksmith in Deep Rock Mine. What we can do here is actually craft a legendary 55 weapon. This is a really strong weapon. Now, like I said, you can get a level 60 purple weapon off the boss soul vendor, but the legendary weapon works the same way. It can roll a total of 5 appraised stats and can roll even higher values than the purple weapon can. It's actually pretty easy to craft this. The gold might look like a lot for your current level, but you'll start earning a lot more money once you get past 60 and once you start farming a little bit at 65. So you should have plenty of money by the time you get here. The adamantite ore clusters and the sharp metal fragments are not necessarily farmable. They're just kind of random drops that you get while doing dungeons. But as you can see, I already have plenty of enough to craft it just from leveling. The blueprints might seem a little tough to get for some people. They drop from dungeons as well, but they generally come from like extra mini boss rooms. If you've seen them, like while you're going through a dungeon, there's like one extra room off to the side. Sometimes there's a mini boss in there. Usually when you have like purple or blue RP, you got a much higher chance of getting one of these to drop. And you can see I got 4 while leveling up, so you should have 1 by then. And finally, the gold critium shards. These are a little tough to get for some people. They can be received from salvaging other legendaries, but you might have been unlucky and not received any legendaries while leveling to salvage, or you just didn't get enough. The other trick to get these is to do invasions and receive invasion boxes that drop from killing the boss and opening those up. If you want to learn more about invasions, I also have a video for that that'll link down below as well, so make sure you check that out. And of course, this all can be bought on the auction house as well. And you can see they all are gold on the auction house. They're not even cred. So I think this weapon is a great starter weapon for, you can even pick it up at 55, you know, because it's a 55 weapon. So if you have the mats, grab it at 55 and let this thing carry you all the way up and through 65. It's a great starter weapon. Alright, now that we've got some gear, there are a couple things you can do with it. As you can see on the tooltip, there's appraise stats, charming, soul gem, and enhancing. Again, I have another video for that. I don't want to go into too much detail on this one, so make sure you go check that out. That'll give you an even bigger combat rating boost when you go through all your gear and you appraise it, you charm it, you soul gem it, you enhance it. That's going to be your biggest boost once you get this nice solid set of gear going. Alright, let's move on from the gear now. We got that settled. You have all this gear, what are you going to do with it? Well, let's start with what you should be doing every day. Dailies. Everyone's favorite, right? So we're going to head on over here to the portal. Now, the first one I'm going to cover, I call them soul gem dailies. Basically what these dailies do is, when you complete them, they give you soul gems at the end of the dungeon. This is, as far as I can tell, the only way to get soul gems in the game. It's basically just a short little dungeon that you run through. You can do this specifically 5 times a day, and at the end there'll be like a little boss. You kill the boss, and then you'll get like your cards will have gem generators where it just generates random gems, and it'll have the soul gem coupons. The best part is if you get a gem 3 generator, sometimes you can actually choose which gem you want, and it's a free level 3 gem that you pick out of it. So those are like really important that you want to get. And you want to make sure you're doing this 5 times a day. There are other dungeons like this in other zones at lower levels. This is the highest level one that I can find. From what I can tell, the levels don't really seem to affect the drops at the end. The difficulty kind of does. I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell. It says it does if you like go through these and look through them. But I just do it on insane because it's only a level 60 dungeon. It's pretty easy, especially if you're 65, to just go through, knock them out, do 5 in a row, get your soul gems for the day, and you move on. So the next one we have is the daily dungeons. Now it's a tab down here. You can get to this from any of the dungeon portals. We have Saturdays today, so we can pick any of these dailies that we want. You can see here which days these are available. So normally during the week, there's one available. So this is available on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On the weekend, you actually get to pick any of these you want. Now, you can only do these a total of 2 times a day, but if we click on these, we can see the rewards that we receive down here. We get a Fix-It hammer for 10 stability, and this dungeon will give us a box with 50 Chaos Critium crystals. You could do this dungeon twice, you could do this one once and another one once, but of course if it is Monday, this is the only one available, so you'd have to do it twice. The rewards, you can go through and you look through them for yourself. This one has gold, you know, there's some whetstones, stuff like that, badges. So this really comes down to your choice. There isn't a best one. It's more like what do you feel like you need right now? Do you need some appraisal scrolls? Do you want some costume badges? You choose, on the weekends, you choose which one you want. Of course, during the week, you're only be able to do the one that's available. But you can do these, like I said, 2 times a day. So you're doing the Soul Gem Dailies 5 times a day. You're doing these 2 times a day. Next, we have the arena down here in the bottom right. Now, don't let the name scare you off. It's not actually a PvP arena. It's a PvE arena. So when you go into the arena, you're going to fight a sort of wave system of bosses. There's 10 rooms that you're going to go through. In each room, there's 1 boss type mob. They're, I guess, more or less mini bosses, but you've seen them throughout your leveling. They're very similar to the invasion bosses. They can be pretty tough if you're just barely above the combat rating required for it. So don't be afraid to go down and do a lower tier one if you're not completing the higher tier one. Basically, the way it works is once you kill a boss, you receive a little bit of currency for each boss you defeat. And then at the end, you can turn in that currency for badges, which I'll show here in a second. The last boss is usually tougher. In the 10th room is much tougher than the bosses leading up to them. There is a scoring system as well. Once you enter the 60k or above combat rating arena, you'll be put into a weekly ranking bracket. And the higher you score in that, the better weekly rewards you get. So that's pretty cool. You can do this 3 times a day. Like I said, just do the one you're most comfortable with. Try to work your way up. As you get better gear, you'll be able to do better ones. So let's go ahead and hop back over to Xanadu real quick, and I'll show you guys where you can spend these currencies. Here we are back in Xanadu. Here we have the arena proprietor. When we talk to him, you can also enter the arena from here, but most importantly, he has the arena shop. These are the bronze champion medals. This is the currency you receive from completing the arenas. And as I mentioned, you don't have to actually complete the arena. If you fail the arena and you die, you'll keep the currency that you earned up to the level you got to. Each day, you're able to buy one of these boxes. So don't hold on to your badges, your champion medals rather. Don't save them up. There's no point. You just want to buy the boxes you can each day. Each box is equal value to the amount of medals spent. So you don't get a better value by buying the 300 medal box versus just only 75 medal boxes. They're fine the way they are. And out of these you get Cagerfield badges. So you can, this is probably the best place you're gonna get badges early on. You also get a bunch of badges if you get to the 60k combat rating plus arena. Each week you'll get a ton of badges if you perform well, or the better you perform, the even more badges you'll get, and you can even get a pair of wings that give you stats. So now that we've taken a look at what some dailies we should be doing each day, we have one more area over here that you might not have noticed. Once you hit level 65, you'll come over here to Lael, and she'll have a quest for you that you accept that allows you to enter the end game zone, Starhenge. In here, we'll have our last set of dailies that you're going to be wanting to do. Now, these are a little bit tougher dailies, so you probably won't be able to complete them as soon as you hit 65, unless you have a group or you know what you're doing. You'll turn in your quest at Daspar, and he'll give you a sort of lead-in quest that takes you into the first set of dungeons here. What this is you'll go into the dungeon portal, and there's 4 dungeons you can do. 3 at first, and they're only available on easy. You'll have to go through these series of quests to unlock the harder difficulties for each dungeon and unlock the 4th dungeon. So it's really straightforward. You just go in, complete the quest you need to complete, come out, turn it in, and just follow your way through, and this will eventually unlock your dailies. Once you get to the dailies, basically it wants you to do each dungeon twice a day. That's it. You also will receive a sort of light bluish looking quest. That's not a daily, that's actually a title quest. So basically it wants you to kill the same boss 20 times and then 100 times. So don't worry about having to complete that one quickly. That's just kind of an overall completion thing as you do your dailies each day. So once you do these quests, this will be a great little segue into the last section of the video, is farming. So now that you've got all your gear, you've figured out what dailies you need to do each day, you got all those done, now what do you do with the rest of your day? We can farm these dungeons and another set of dungeons. So we'll start with the Starhenge dungeons. Ideally, you want to farm these on extreme mode, which is the last mode available. It's called extreme instead of insane on the Starhenge Dailies. I'm not sure why, but they actually have a higher drop rate on extreme than hard, as opposed to insane and hard when leveling. So you want to make sure you're always doing it on extreme if you can. It is actually pretty tough early on to get these done on extreme, but like I said, feel free to get into a group and do these, because groups actually provide a loot buff, so you'll have more loot dropping while in a group. Now, the reason we do these is we get hero keystones. Now, I'll pull this back up so you can see here. These are the core component to getting your level 65 tier 7 gear. While doing the dungeons, you'll receive keystone fragments and orange critium fragments. Now, you can take them over here to Cerulean, and we can see what she'll provide for us. With the hero keystones, we need 30 keystone fragments to turn into 1 keystone. Now, each day, the dailies will give 8 keystone fragments each, and there's a total of 8 dailies, 4 dungeons with 2 dailies each. So you'll get roughly 2 hero keystones a day just from the dailies. Now, you also get the fragments here from doing the dungeons themselves. They'll drop, a lot of them will drop on purple RP, and you're guaranteed to still get them on blue RP. But once you get to green RP, it's a very, very low drop chance to get them, so I don't recommend continuing to do them on green. The other items we get are the orange critium fragments. Now, these are used to purchase, let's see, we've got a daily surprise box, which it's not actually once a day. You can buy these as many times as you want a day. It can come with a random piece of Starhenge gear, and it might not be for your class. Just a heads up, these are not tradable, so if you get one not for your class, you're gonna have to salvage it. You can't even trade it to your alts, so just keep that in mind. You can get a badge, some whetstones. This is kind of a really heavy gamble box. Most of the time, you're just going to get 1 keystone fragment, maybe a hammer, maybe a badge. But if you're really into gambling, you can try to get some keystones or even a piece of gear. These are costume pieces. You can look through those and see the costumes that you can get. We can also get a random blue tier artifact. This is another place if you don't have an artifact to get a random blue artifact or a random purple artifact. We have some charms down here. This charm box, you can actually choose the charm out of. I talked about this in my elemental video. You can pick the charm out of this box. And then we have a random charm box here. This one is a completely random charm ranging from tier 3s all the way up to tier 5s. So if you're feeling lucky, try to go for a tier 5 on this one. Now, after we get the hero keystone frags, we want to come over here to the master crafter to make your Starhenge gear. While doing the dungeons, you have a chance for these to drop. Now, like I said, you can get a piece that isn't for your class, so keep that in mind. It's not just class specific, but it's the exact same gear that comes off the crafter. So your goal is to either get it as drops or craft it off the crafter. So you can see here on the right the required ingredients. We have 30 hero keystones for the weapons, which is quite a bit. Some more adamantine ore clusters, sharp metal frags, gold critium crystals, which you can craft at the crafter, which just simply requires gold critium shards. And of course some gold. So this is your end game gear you're working for here. Every day you want to make sure you're doing your Starhenge dailies, and then when you're done with your dailies, you want to farm up Starhenge if you're at the CR high enough to be able to do that. That's your end game grind. You want to be grinding that out, get your hero keystones, craft your gear. The rest of the gear, is down here, and then there's even more accessories down here. So there is a little bit of you might not be able to do these dungeons yet, so there's a little bit of like transition period, I suppose, where you can't quite farm Starhenge Extremes, but you are 65 and you have a little bit of gear, so what can you do? Well, we'll take one last trip over to Xanadu and we'll take a look at that dungeon. Now onto the final dungeon we have here. We're back in Xanadu. We're going to walk into the portal here. The last dungeon that you want to be farming is Skyship Arcadia East Deck. Now, this is the intermediary dungeon to get you into the Starhenge dungeons. You can farm Starhenge dungeons immediately if you can handle it. If you have the gear for it, if you have a party for it, head on over there and do it. What this dungeon does is it provides us with stuff that the Starhenge dungeon doesn't. The best things you can get from here are money, crafting materials, challenge letters, cracked power cores, all sorts of stuff. And the biggest one, legendaries. Now, what you're going to get from these, as I said, money comes from completing the dungeon and vendoring the drops you get. Once you get to a certain level, gear starts actually being able to be vendored for gold. It's 3,700 gold per piece, regardless of the quality. Early on, it only sells for 1 gold, but now you can start vendoring it for some real money, and this is where you're going to start making your money. Alternatively, if you don't need money, you can actually just salvage the gear you're getting and get crafting materials out of it. So both of those is a really solid source for both of those. As I mentioned, you can get challenge letters for invasions and do invasions here. This is where I do my invasions for the best rewards. This is the highest level dungeon. It's a great place to do invasions. As I mentioned, check out the invasion video if you're not sure how those work. You can get cracked power cores, which I said earlier at the material collection agent, you can roll some power cores from it. And of course, the biggest one people want, the legendaries. You can see down here which legendaries can drop from there. From my experience, this does not actually list all possible legendaries. This only shows level 60 legendaries at tier 6. I've actually gotten, and I know people that have gotten 65 legendaries that are tier 6 from this dungeon as well. The Starhenge legendaries are tier 7, 65 legendaries. So if you're running through this dungeon, and you have purple RP, my best advice is get in a group. It really helps with the drop rate. You don't have to, don't feel forced to get into a group. It certainly helps speed it up, makes it easier if you're just starting out at 65. It's really easy to just jump in a farm group and get going through here. But yeah, this is a great source of legendaries, and the best thing you can do with legendaries is, of course, wear them and replace maybe some of your boss soul purple gear, or you can sell them on the auction house if you can't use them or you don't want them, and you can get cred from them. Now, cred is the cash shop currency, so you don't actually have to spend a single cent on this game, and you can earn in-game cash shop currency that you can then use to buy stuff either from the cash shop, or better yet, sell the drops you don't want, get cred, and then buy the ones you do want off the auction house without worrying about a thing. The auction house does take a 20% cut though, so keep that in mind. So if you sell something, for 1,000 cred, it's going to take a 200 cred cut out of it. That about sums it up for your dailies, your gear, your places to farm. The one last thing I do want to mention, it's not a big deal, but a lot of games, I don't personally like making alts in games. I generally love just focusing on one character and just getting it super geared out, right? This game actually has a great alt system. I highly recommend making alts in this game. Now, they're not required by any means, but they can be a huge boon to your mains. A couple reasons that is because of the way the RP system works. While you can still run dungeons when you're out of RP, you just don't get as much loot, especially from this place here, Skyship. What you can do is having alts essentially gives you more RP in a sense. Basically, if your main is out of RP, you just hop on your alt, you come on over here to Skyship, you throw a group together, and you start farming on your alt. You can transfer gold in between your account storage, you can transfer tradable items between your account storage, between all characters on your account. You could get more legendaries, you could sell in the auction house for cred, all sorts of things. And not only that, I really like the combat system in this game, and there's some great classes out there, Don't be afraid to just try something out. It's pretty easy to level in this game. You just follow the quest, you do your RP each day, and you move on. So yeah, that about sums it up. The video is a little longer than I wanted it to be. But yeah, make sure you check down in the timestamps below if you want to go back so you don't have to sift through the video or any of that. If you guys have any questions about anything I went over, maybe I said wrong, maybe I missed, of course, please leave them down below. I'll be happy to clarify or answer you. Even better, come on over to Twitch, Karth_WS. The link will be down in the description below. I love answering questions, it keeps me engaged in the game. I'm having a ton of fun with Kritika, so don't be afraid to come over, ask me any question you want, and I'll be glad to answer. So, until next time, I'll see you guys later.